What is up, y'all? Welcome
And
to the Women of God podcast or panel. Actually, we're going to have a panel discussion today with some wonderful women of God, some lovely ladies here Natalia, Jeanette, Natisha. Pleasure to meet you all. I know that we just met briefly, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of who I am. My name is Ray Butler. I'm here just as a host today, just to mediate. And I'm 38, single, am definitely looking. No children myself, and just really kind of looking to. I want to be a husband and a father one day. Really, that's what my goal is. Um, Definitely also a man of God myself. As I might have said earlier, I don't necessarily go to church as often as I probably should, but do subscribe to Catholicism. So definitely look at myself as a man of God for sure. I'm going to let the ladies introduce themselves as well. Why don't we just start from, well, on the top of my screen, I see Jeanette. So, Jeanette, why don't we start with you?
Well, my name is Jeanette. I'm 45 years old. I have four adult kids and two grandbabies, and I am single. I'm originally from Atlanta, but I live in Connecticut right now, and I'm
Love,
definitely waiting on God for my husband.
love that. Love that. I have family from Atlanta, so that's awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And Natalia, what about you?
I'm Natalia Troutman. I'm 46 years old. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. I have a daughter that's 25. She's my only child. I'm seeking a relationship. I was in a relationship for since my daughter was 5, and he passed away 6 years ago. So this is new to me. I think I healed and I'm at peace, and I think that I'm ready for a relationship. And I am a woman of God. I don't go to church a lot, but I do believe in God, and I am looking for a spiritual husband.
Love that. Love that. And I'm sorry for your loss, but I
Thank
love
you.
that for you. I'm glad to hear that you've come healed and you're ready to find love for your future. Love that. Now, Miss Natisha, would love to hear from you. Oh, you might have lost Miss Natisha. No worries. I know that she had just gotten off a flight and she was dealing with some Wi-Fi issues, so no worries there. Why don't we just get started and jump right into some of the panel questions? And hey, Gina and PA, nice to see you too. Why don't we just get it started with some of the panel questions? Now, the first one that I have here for you ladies, are you single because you're waiting for the right person that God has for you? Or are you single because you just desire to remain single at this point in time?
What do you want to? Well, I'm Natalia, and I'm single because I'm waiting for God's timing. I'm waiting for Him to find someone for me.
Okay. And Jeanette, is that the same for you?
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting on God. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Now, after hearing that you both have the same answers, um, can I ask you with now again, as I said, I'm a man of God and oh Natisha, wonderful. I see you jump back in. We kind of started into the questioning, but why don't we jump back really quick and give have you give your quick introduction if you don't mind.
Hello, everyone. I'm Natisha, and I am single. I'm 59. I've never been married. I do not have any children. I desire to meet and have a man of God. I reside currently in Connecticut, and I'm originally from Oklahoma. And I am
Oklahoma.
ordained as well.
Uh,
Congratulations to you, Natisha. What made you make the move from Oklahoma to the Big East?
Many years ago, I'm actually in the military. And so, because I'm active duty, I'm always moving around as well.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Now we did jump into the first question. I know that you had missed Natalia and Jeanette's answers, but the first question was: are you single because you're waiting for the right person that God has for you, or are you single because you desire to remain single right now?
That's been a work in progress. And am at peace with where I am. I am single as I am waiting on to do something different than what I've experienced growing up as a child and what I've experienced with friends and so I feel that right now I'm just kind of in a season, and when God connects me with my Boaz, my man of God, then I'm very open to becoming a wife and supporting him with the desire that he will support me in my ministry as well.
Love that. Love that. And the one thing I wanted to point out, just from what I had heard from each of you ladies, I know that each of you just kind of said that you're waiting for that man, right? You're waiting for that man to come. You're waiting for God to kind of show you that man. As much as I love that answer, because I think that we all need to wait to find the right person for each of us, right? I think also it's almost like a little bit of a double-edged sword, where in my opinion it's like that faith without works, right? You need the work as well as you need the faith in order to find what it is that you want. So like just from my perspective, when we talk about waiting for that man, waiting for the right one is the right move, but waiting, I don't necessarily think, you know what I mean? When someone comes a knocking, you might have to give them that opportunity, or you might have to, you know, so that you're not necessarily waiting for someone to kind of show up.
Well,
Now,
he well he has to be already healed. I'm at peace with myself. He have to heal like me. I want him to
agreed,
be healed like me and have peace like me. You know,
agreed,
that's what
agreed. And
I
of course, and I think that the right person for each of us is going to be someone that is healed and right for you, but that doesn't stop any of us from, if I was sitting at home and waiting for the right woman to show up, I would be waiting a long time, you know what I mean? That's really what my point is. I have to put myself in situations to meet that right person, or put myself in situations where that person can notice me as much as I notice them, right? So that's my only. I think you're 100% right, Natalia. I think when you go into a relationship, you have to go into that relationship healed. But I
yes.
think if you're waiting around for that person, expecting them to just knock on your door, I think that's where a lot. I spoke to a friend recently, and a friend told me, he was like, I think good men and good women walk right past each other in everyday life and don't
Mm,
say words to each other, because none of us want to get rejected, and none of us want that feeling, but we all have to put ourselves out there, right? You know.
mm.
But at least that's my perspective. You guys tell me if I'm
Well,
off base.
well,
And have to
well, I
know how to.
think,
Go ahead.
yeah, and I think
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Me,
Uh,
Natalia.
Nat- Natalia, go ahead. Yes.
These men have to know how to court you. They don't know how to do that. They come at you and disrespectfully. I don't like that part.
Well, if men are coming at you disrespectfully, I would say that those aren't necessarily the right men or healed men,
Yeah,
right? In that respect, if their initial reaction or interaction with you is from a place of disrespect, I would say that
they're
that
not.
right, they're not ready, and they may not be healed. They may have their own demons. That might be the case for them. That's not the right man for you to be choosing then. But to say that you're going to wait for the right man, that's where I feel like the disconnect is, because you still have to go out and try to find that right man.
I do go out. I go out. I go
Oh,
out.
and I don't mean necessarily go out just to like go out. I mean, you have to, even all of us being here today is us putting ourselves out there to potentially meet someone that you wouldn't otherwise meet, right?
Right.
That to me is you're putting in work behind having faith that you will find someone.
Mhm.
Now I'm going to turn it over, because I feel like I've been speaking a lot. Jeanette and Natisha. Jeanette, I'm gonna turn it over to you first.
Well, so I said that I'm waiting on God. Of course I am. But I have gave many people the opportunity to date me. And I'm saying opportunity. I know it sounds a little, you know, but I have dated, it's just I know the calling that I have on my life, so I know what the type of man that I have to date. I can't just date anyone. And so I've been on several dates. I've even did tried online dating, but I also had a moment in my life where I realized that I had to do self-awareness in order for me to become who I need to become for him. You know what I mean? So I went through a whole phase of self-awareness, and there are still a few things that, I feel like could possibly need to be changed. But I do know that I had to go through self-awareness to just make sure that I'm the right person for him. So yes, I do try. I have dated, but like I said, right now, I'm still waiting. So it's not that I don't, put myself out there to try to date somebody, because I do, but it just haven't happened yet, just haven't happened yet.
And honestly, Jeanette, that's, in my opinion, that's all that I would need to hear, is that you are trying to put yourself out there, and that
Oh
you're
yes, of
making
course.
you're making the self-aware changes within the things that you can control. I'm going to control and change so that I'm the best candidate for my potential husband, or in my case,
Right.
wife. Right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
love that. Love that. Now, Natisha, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you, Ray. I think the phrase that when we're using the word waiting on God does not mean that we're sitting on a shelf and we're in isolation and waiting on UPS to knock on the door and say, "Here, let me deliver you that man of God." So I think an understanding of that phrase. I too, I'm very active. I'm an introvert, hard introvert by nature, but an extrovert in life because my vocation and the things that I do require me to be an extrovert. So I'm out, I'm socializing, I'm at social events. Um, I've done the dating apps, and that didn't work because often I would have someone say, share a picture, and they're like, "Oh, you look like yourself." And I'm like, "Well, are you telling me you don't like
Yeah.
yourself, or you're not who you have posted?" So I just wanted to address that phrase about waiting. I think it sounds like for the females, we're using it the same way, but not in just sitting and waiting, right? So, but um, yeah, it's just when I jumped out there, I tell you, I thank God when I look back at some of and I haven't dated a lot, but when I look that I thought was the one, I thank God that I'm not with him. So, um, and so saying waiting, I don't want to get in front of God because I need someone, like Jeanette was saying, to support my ministry and my calling, to support my vocation as I will support theirs as well.
Of course. And Natisha, thank you for saying that and mentioning that, because and and again, that's why I asked if I might have been a little off base, because I know, just being a man, I can tell you, when we hear you guys say words, we're taking them very literally.
Hmm.
We're take when we're taking what you say and applying that very literally to where, okay, I'll put it this way. When I was a student, many years ago, when I was a student, my mother used to tell me, when you read, you have to read between the lines. What is it that the author's trying to tell you? I couldn't care what the author was trying to tell me. All I could care about was what the lines actually said. And what the lines actually said might have been a little bit different than what the author's theme or what they're trying to tell you, right? I think that a lot of men struggle with that because they hear the literal words that are coming out of your mouth. I'm waiting with God to deliver me, or bring me the man that I'm the a godly man that is going to support me. And when we hear that, we're like, oh. I know I've been waiting for that woman and searching for for a long time and feel like it's been very difficult to find. So that I think that's where we get kind of a little bit of cross wire, cross confusion, where we take things very literally, and you guys might and women might say things that are you have to read between the lines a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So and it not to say that one is wrong or better than the other. It's just we do things a little bit differently, you know. Um, with that being said, I want to make sure that we get to question two because I'll be honest, I dilly dally a lot. I'll end up talking to you guys about just question one the entire evening. So unless any of you ladies has any other opinions, anything else you want to kind of throw in there from that particular question, we can move on to the second one.
Yes.
Okay,
I would like to say something, Ray.
of course.
I believe through living experience and training, I have learned that and I'm going to say us, because I see us as Melon, we're not really taught how to communicate in a way that is effective. A lot of what we do is we parrot what we see, right, wrong, and different based on the environment that we're raised in. And so you raise a good point. I have male friends that will say men are literal, but women, we tend to be complicated. And I don't know that we are. I just think it boils down to us having ability to communicate. And so, even for example, when you posed that question, we responded. You jumped in with an assumption of an understanding of the word wait. Whereas, what if we step back and say, you know what? I heard this. Can you explain or help me better understand that? And I'm trying to do better at that myself, because I think it is a two-way street on communication, and learning to communicate with effective communication and addressing a lot of times unexpected expectations. And so I do want to name that since you did put that out there. I appreciate that.
Of course, and thank you for the recognition, Natisha. It's also much appreciated on this end. Now, with regard to question two, I want to move right on with you ladies. Now, question two that I have here: does the man that you desire have to be a man of God, or are you willing to adjust to someone else's life choices if they're a good person, if they match your morals? And
I'll
Natisha,
jump in.
why don't we start with you? We'll go backwards this time.
Yes, I'll jump in. I'm learning that there are negotiables and non-negotiables. A non-negotiable is something that I'm not willing to bend on. For example, I don't like being around cigarette smoke. It makes me sick. Another non-negotiable is will not bend on. I know that I'm not willing to flex and bend on having or being with someone who is not a man of God, are professed to be saved. So for me, that is a non-negotiable for me.
Understood. Understood. And Jeanette, how about you?
Yes, they definitely have to be a man of God. As I said before, it's definitely because of the calling on my life. I would like to say it's because of my oil, okay? Because it's, the Lord can be very spontaneous to me. He always has me on some kind of mission to go to another state randomly. So the calling on my life, and the assignments that I have, he has to be able to understand that. Also, he also has to be able to understand the importance of abstinence, like, because that's very important to me. So yes, that's he definitely has to be a man, and not only someone that goes to church. Okay. And I go to church and I understand the importance of church and ministry, but he can't just go to church, because I heard somebody say that a few days ago, I think, that a church girl is different from a follower of Christ or a woman of God. They're different. And that's only because you can go to church every single Sunday, but you can still not have a relationship with God. You can go to church every single Sunday and you can still not be a follower of Christ. You know what I mean? So this not to discredit church, because I go to church. So it's not to discredit church, but I do want to say that you can be a church girl and still not be a woman of God. So, you know, a man of God is definitely what he has to be.
Understood. And Natalia?
I'm looking for a man who loves God, who have the same Christian beliefs as I do. I think
Okay.
it's important for me.
And that's a non-negotiable for you as well.
Yes.
Okay. So they have to have the same relate or similar relationship to you all as God, with God. Um Now also, and I know that you had mentioned, Natisha, like smoking and other non-negotiables. So let me ask you, if they're a man of God, uh, they're not a smoker, but their moral fiber, their moral character is it. I won't say lacking, but let's say it's not shiny. It's not shiny and
Right.
polished, right?
Mhm.
Um, because I want to understand where do we draw the line? Where I mean, I understand that we're non-negotiable on they have to be a man of God, but where else do we draw the line? Because obviously, you can have someone who's a man of God and be willing to support you, but them still not necessarily be a right fit for you, or still not necessarily be, the things that you need to flourish in a relationship. What are some of those other things that you feel like are either non-negotiables or things that you desperately need in that relationship?
I can respond. Oh, did you say Natisha? Sasha,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
that's the
Let's go in the same way, Natisha and
Oh, okay,
then
okay, sorry.
Jeanette.
and so as you know, you have me really thinking about my answers based on your stating earlier that as a man you take things literal, and then I realized you asked us what about a man of God. That can mean a lot of things, and so let me answer it this way: shared faith, shared purpose, and spiritual alignment. Does that mean that my man has to get up and preach, get up and be in front of the church? No, it does not. He can be the best calling of whatever God has for him, whatever that looks like, but we still have to be aligned on one accord. A man that's a praying man. Does he have to pray publicly? No, but I would love that he would pray with me and I could pray with him, but also he would be praying for me in covering. And so I just wanted to kind of clarify that as well. When you says that there's like some shadiness in the moral character or moral fiber, immediately that's like because God is not of confusion, God is not of chaos, and so that automatically will not align with the focus and I believe the conversation that we're having tonight. Now, does he have to be perfect? No, because I'm not perfect. I'm a work in progress, striving to do my best every day, and I do fall short. And I am the first to apologize and acknowledge that. And so I think it comes down to if he's being the best that he can and he treats me right and treats others right, then to me, that can help us align with us moving forward towards purpose and towards making a difference, and not only in supporting one another, but in the lives or the calling that God has for us.
So I love what you said, Natisha. I 100% agree with everything that you're saying. Shared purpose, shared focus, shared alignment. I think all of those are, and like you said, being a man or a woman of God can mean so many things. That those to me seem like the most important things with regard to being in a relationship with anyone, a dating relationship, a marriage, anything like that. Um, Now, with that being said, I also believe that um, when it comes to like men taking things very literally, uh, you explaining exactly that, you explaining exactly what being a woman of God and what looking for in that man means to you is something that even the man that you're looking for would most likely need to hear, and not just that you are a woman of God and that you're looking for a man of God. They need to hear all of those things. My question with regard to their, I don't want to say shady moral fiber. I'm more so leaning to the fact of, like you had mentioned, does that man need to be a shining knight of armor for you in order for him to qualify as a potential husband or dating partner? Because and the reason I say that is because you can have a great man that aligns to your goals, that aligns to your religion. He can treat you right, and he could not have a job. He could always be out of work, and never have any money. And that could be the one thing that's not shining, glistening gold on his resume. And if that is keeping you from that man, you know what I mean? It just and that's where I'm trying to say, where's the line drawn in the sand? Can That's more or less what I was trying to get at. Not necessarily that he's lacking in moral fiber, that he's a horrible man, that because obviously, like you said, if that was the case, that's a disingenuous argument at this point anyway, because why would we even be speaking about that man in general? But I'm speaking about the men that would treat you right, but maybe don't necessarily have it all together. And
Right.
I think because I think that's where a lot of men today, I think, fall. Not necessarily that they don't have jobs, but something is going on. Something may be going on that is holding them back, or that keeps women from saying, "Oh, I'm interested in that particular man."
Well, I think Michael, excuse me, Ray, I saw Michael's message pop up. He said he disagreed, but I, I'm going to push back because, again, maybe he's not in front of the congregation preaching, but there's jobs everywhere. So there's no excuse not to have a job. And so it starts somewhere. I started somewhere. And so to me, it's a work ethic. And so if he's saying he needs to start at a 10-figure salary, but he hasn't started at the 6-figure salary, that's a whole nother conversation that needs to be addressed and had. And so there's jobs everywhere. It may not be what he wants to do,
Yeah.
but you got to start somewhere and have some responsibility and some commitment and obligation to be an adult and adulting.
Of
Yeah.
course. Of course. And again, that was an extreme example. I'm just trying to give you an example of some, because there let me ask you this. Well, actually, before we jump into another question, I want to make sure we get to Jeanette and Natalia as well. I want to make sure I get their answers. So Jeanette, why don't you give me your answer with regard to, like, where's the line drawn for you outside of, he matches your lifestyle, he matches your vision for being a man of God. Where's the line drawn that you would say, oh, I can't, or you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the biggest things that I look at is how you treat people. That matters so much to me. So I would dating is how you find out. Because I want to see how you interact with the cashier. I want to see how you interact with the janitor that's somewhere. Like, I want to see how you interact with people. That's very, very important to me. Also, I would like to hear you on a call with your mother. I know that might be extreme, but how you treat your mom definitely matters to me. So those are definitely some of the things that I look at, and they're like, because if we go on a date and you're different and you're mistreating people and you're rude and you can't get by, and so you kind of push somebody, like, all of those things are just zero tolerance. Like, I'm not dealing with it. I'm not dealing with it. So that's you know.
And honestly, I love that answer, Jeanette, because I think I agree. I think that the way that you treat people in public, people that either work for you or people who are in the service industry that
Mhm,
that you're ordering food from or whatever the case may be.
mhm.
The way that you treat them in public is you're probably going to be treated similarly in private, in
Oh
my
yeah.
opinion.
Mhm.
So I totally agree with what it is that you're saying. I think that there's a lot of little tells that you can see from people, either just via coffee dates or just little things like you had mentioned, and even just through conversations with, like you said, like parents. And even in my case as a man, I would say, from the man's perspective, I would say we also like to hear what women say about exes, because when we hear what women say about their exes, especially when there's a lot of negative things, that kind of turns us off or away, because we assume that we don't want to be that next guy that you're telling to someone else, six months from now, whether our relationship was good or bad. You know what I mean? Because I think there's also guys that get into these relationships with women, and they might not necessarily do all the bad things that they're made out to do, but 6 months down the line, they're on the T app, type of a thing. So
Right.
I think I think that you're right. I think it goes both ways, and I think men also sometimes look at some of those kind of conversations as little tells as well. Um, Natalia, you look like you were shaking your head. You look like you had something to say there.
No, she said everything I was gonna say actually, but I don't think nobody's perfect. As long as he's perfect for me, I really do think that. Yeah, but I do want him to have a job.
Well, of course. I think, and again, I think that I was trying to give you guys an extreme example, but I was alluding to, correct, like Natisha had said and like Natalia had said, nobody's perfect. Nobody.
Perfect.
Michael said, in today's economy, if you don't have a job, what are we saying, Michael? Look, again, extreme example. Not everybody's perfect. And
Yeah,
even when I say that he's out of a job, I don't necessarily mean that he doesn't have one. But maybe he's the type of guy that every year has a new job because he can't hold one down, and that can also be kind of a problem, right? So
Yeah.
he can have one consistently, but he's just always switching jobs and doesn't have one
but
job that he's always working for 10, 15, 20 years like most of us do, right? So,
Can I
and
say something
I was
real
of
gonna say,
quick?
course, no, of course.
So I was listening to when she said that, and I was thinking, of course we all have our different phases and things that we go through in life. Everybody has been without a job, but stability is one of the things that I have not mentioned that is very, very important to me. So if you're going through a phase, let's not date. Let's get all those great, wonderful things together, then come out and date. Like,
yeah,
I just think that that's just what needs to happen. And that's just for men and women. That's not specifically men. That's for men and women.
and
I
I have something to say too. And sometimes when you're in a relationship, it's not always going to be 50-50. It might be the numbers percentage might be different.
Right. Hmm.
You can't think like that because one day he gonna be up, you're gonna be down, you're gonna be down, he gonna be up. So you know, I don't know.
But
and
at the
it's
very beginning, though, I think he should be a little bit more
Yeah, and
stable coming in,
yes,
coming in. Yes.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I I think I agree with both of your sentiments. Jeanette, I think both people going into relationships should
yeah,
be stable, healthy, functioning adults before you enter in a relationship. I totally agree.
mm-hmm,
uh Natalia, I also agree with exactly what it is that you're saying.
mm-hmm,
Coming from my parents have been married for 40 some odd years now. And I can tell you what my parents have always told me, that when they were growing up, if my dad had money for a movie, he paid for the movie. When he didn't have it, my mom had it, she paid for the movie. And there wasn't really a division of powers. It was just whoever was taking care of it that day could take care of it.
exactly.
And I do think a lot of us get caught on this 50-50, who's paying, you know, I do think a lot of us men are starting to feel a little resentful at the fact that it feels like we take on the bigger brunt of paying for things, especially at the beginning. Which I'm not going to go too far on there, but I will say, in my opinion, it almost feels like in 2026 that should almost be reversed, where we should almost be splitting the bill on the first date, and then once we're established and you know
Not the first date.
the first date. See, but
No.
this no, but this is what I that's what I mean. Because if we, but on the first date you can decide, oh, I don't even like you, and I as a man I'm out paying $200 for a woman who just decided she doesn't like me at the end of the day. We should almost wait until we know we like each other, and then I'll say, oh, of course, ma'am. Of course, I absolutely want to take you out on a date. Let me take you to dinner. Yes, Michael. First date is a man's job. I totally agree with you. I'm just saying in 2026, the way that it feels is because, especially being a man, dating feels like you almost have to, it's almost like you're shooting fish out of the side of a boat with a shotgun. Like you're just taking shots in the water, hoping to catch fish, right? A lot of men spend money on first dates. Most men, that's what they're doing. I whenever I take a girl out on a date, I'm always spending on the first date. But that does get a little tiring if and when you go on 20 first dates in a year, 50 first dates in a year. That gets expensive.
Yes.
You see what I'm and that's where I'm saying 2026, in my opinion, we should start moving into the realm of it starts 50-50, and then once we've discovered that relationship, then I'll splurge.
Yes.
Massages for you. Um now
Can I add something also, Ray? We're talking, and I'm realizing we're talking when we're talking about, being able to be stable, having employment, stability based on our ages that we've shared. If they're not there now, something else is going on, because we're not talking like we're 18, 19, 20, 25. We've named our ages. I think you said during your 30s up to 59. So there's a whole nother issue there, as it relates to if a man is not employed, or female not employed, and they're not able to fulfill financial obligations or have some stability.
and I agree with you, Natisha. Like I said, I think that was just an extreme example that I'm trying to give to you that shows that not everybody is perfect. You can
Okay.
find someone with a job. You can find someone that meets the morals and is going to support you in the ministry as much as you're willing to support them, and their work matches the goals that you have, and they can still have that one little piece, and it could be something. And again, the job is an extreme example. You could say, I don't date bald men, or
Oh
I
my
don't
goodness.
date men that are under 5'9" or 5'10".
Nope.
Those can all be stipulations. These are the things that I'm asking of you ladies.
Ray.
You're not giving me those answers. You're giving
Ray, I'll
me.
give you the answers. This is
Okay,
Gina in Pennsylvania. You
thank you,
got
Gina.
you got my video off, disabled, and somehow I learned how to unmute myself, but I have no problem being on camera.
Well, I actually I don't control the video, Gina. I'm not sure how that happened, or why that happened. I know that the ladies in the panel here had signed up for it a little bit earlier.
Okay,
Um,
it
but
says you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it.
okay. So I'm technically not actually hosting the video. Yes,
Okay.
only the panelists can be on the camera, unfortunately.
Got it. Oh, okay. So there's a panel. Okay. So yeah, because I'm crawling on my skin over here. I'd love to weigh in on all this stuff.
Happy to have you weigh in.
Okay. Well, like I'm over here. We are kingdom people, correct? I mean, on this panel here, we are.
Oh, okay. Apologies, Gina. We're gonna have you weigh in at about 8:15 when we're getting ready to shut down the panel here. Please, next time that we're getting ready to do another one of these panels, please jump in and have a conversation with us. Sign up like these ladies did so we can have a greater conversation. Now, ladies, I again, I don't mean to hold you because I know that we are going here and we're only on question 3. I feel like we're far behind. Does anybody need a quick break before we kind of continue? Because I know we're a little bit behind where we are. Or are we
Mhm.
good?
Good. Yeah.
Everybody's good? All right, I'm good to go. We're rocking and rolling. Now, hey, Michael, we're happy to have you on the next one too, buddy. Okay, so question 3. Have you ever been married before? If so, what lessons did you learn? And if not, do you desire marriage someday? And
Um,
we're going to start with Natalia.
yes, I desire marriage one day. I do, but I have
Okay.
right now I'm being a right woman, trying to be a while I am a wife right now. Trying to be a let me see how can I put this. I'm trying to be a wife for the right person. Like I don't know how to say that. Let me see. I'm trying to be the right woman for the right man. So I'm trying to already be a wife. So I'm in that stage right now of my life right now. If that
Love that.
yeah.
And let me ask you, Natalia, just to build on that answer, what is it that you're doing right now that to help you get to that place, to get to a place of being the right woman for the right man?
Um just loving myself, like healing, like I said. Just be a different kind of woman than I was in the last relationship. Even though it wasn't a bad relationship, he passed away, but I just want to be a woman of God. I'm trying to what am I trying to do? I don't know. I really can't explain it right now.
No, no worries, no worries. We can come back to you. No worries. But I love your answer though. I do love the answer. Jeanette, why don't we go to you? Have you been married? If so, what lessons have you learned? And if not, do you desire marriage someday?
Well, I've never been married, but I have been proposed to twice, and I've dated someone who we had a conversation about getting married. Now this is the thing. Even though the first time I was ever proposed to, I think I was like 28 or something like that. It was in my 20s, and so I will not marry without God. I mean, and that's the key. So I believe in asking God. I mean, when the Bible says, asking you shall receive, I go crazy with that. Okay. When he says, ask not and you have not, I go crazy with that. I know that there are some people that say, you can't ask God. I literally ask God everything and he responds. So if the Lord tells me that I can't talk to you or you're not my husband, and he'll give me the reason why. And there have been moments where I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? But he did say no to all three. Yes. So my answer is I'm definitely, waiting on God to bring my husband. But if it's a no for him, it's a no for me.
And let me ask the. You said the two other men that proposed.
Mhm.
What did God? How did God tell you that they were both no's? Because I'm assuming that you got some type of sign or signal that showed you they were both no's. What were, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, it's okay. I will say God speaks. Okay. So he does speak to me a lot. So the first time it was he said that so there was a situation that was going on with my life with me and my mom, and he said that I had to go honor her more than I was honoring her, and he wasn't honoring his mom the same. So he said it was a scripture that he used. But basically, we were the same, and that was a really big problem. And so, of course, I'm a completely different person right now. You know what I mean? And my mom is a phenomenal mom, by the way. It was just a lot going on with me in that moment, in that time. Also, the second time, he wasn't. Later, I found out that he was with someone else. So, that's how that happened.
That's more than
Yeah.
enough of a sign for me.
Hmm. Yeah. But
So,
also, I would like to share that I have dated someone when the Lord said that he loves money more than he loves him. So I wanted to share that too.
okay. And that was the third gentleman you said, right?
That was a date.
That was just a date. Okay.
Hmm.
But so he loved money more than he loved his relationship with
God.
God? Okay.
Yes.
Understood. 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 And Natisha, excuse me.
I'm single, never been married, but I do desire to get married. But in the meantime, I'm living in my giftedness of singleness. So, as Jeanette was saying earlier, uh, whatever that means and what that looks like, as far as I'm not having to ask someone, what decisions that I have to make. I'm just fully fulfilling and living out the call that God has on my life. And so, trying to maximize that while I can, and then if it is God's perfect will for my life to get married, then I know that I would have to make some drastic changes in understanding how I am currently living my life. It would change.
Love that answer. Um, and I hope that marriage finds all of you ladies, including myself. Hope it finds us all one of these days in the future. Now we're gonna move on to question 4. Now we're gonna get a little bit more personal as to what is your ideal first date. I know we spoke about who should be paying. Now, what should we be paying for? What is your ideal first date? Natisha, why don't we start with you? What is your ideal first date?
Um, so I want to be in a place where we can talk and not be distracted. And for me, I'm a country girl living a city girl life. If that is camping, somewhere fishing, I said camping, but in that environment where we're outside, where there's water and there's nature basket, we can talk, we can walk, and just enjoy one another to see if there is a connection and have conversation without having to compete with noise and all of those other things. And to me, that would be ideal for me.
Oh, and love that, Natisha, because I'm right there with you. I'm not a country boy. I was born in the Bronx, born in New York City, born in the hustle and bustle of it all. But oh Lord, get me a nice blanket, a picnic outside somewhere, and to top it all off, I'm not spending $100, on dinner. Sounds great to me. Sounds great for a first date, but I love the sound of that. Fishing and camping. I don't know how much I'm with you on the camping because those mosquitoes tear me up, but fishing, I am 100% there with you. I love fishing, so love that, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of men that see this that are going to be right on the same page. So love to hear it. Now, Jeanette, what is your ideal first date?
Yeah, I don't think money is like a really big thing all the time when it comes to dating. Um, and it's funny you said picnic because that was my answer. If I just had to pick, I think it would be a picnic because just being able to be there, maybe next to a tree or something with a blanket and just talking and just maybe eating our own, you bring something and I bring something, maybe our favorite snacks. That way we're getting to know each other the snack way and a lot of other things. Now, if he decided to go to the movie, he wanted to go to the movies or a dinner date or something like that, it would be okay. But my preference most times is I would like to be outside. The restaurants that are where you're sitting outside
Mhm.
instead of sitting on the inside of the restaurant. Yeah, I would also like that, but definitely I love a picnic. So that was my answer.
Love that. Love that. You
Mhm.
already know I'll go crazy for a picnic. And get me, and honestly, throw in a good book because you I love you read with your partner, like, oh, I'll read this first chapter, you read the second chapter, and we'll just lock in together on one good book. Love it. Love that idea. Natalia, why don't you go ahead?
I would say going on a nice date without talking, without distractions. Like nice dinner date, so we
I
could talk and you know.
Of course. And let me ask you, if you're choosing a dinner date, what type of dinner? Where are you going to eat?
I don't know, a nice restaurant, I would say.
Nice restaurant.
But
Doesn't have.
not too expensive, but yeah,
Okay, but it
yeah.
doesn't have to be anything like no Italian sushi.
Oh no, no.
Nothing like no. Okay,
We'll both probably agree on a restaurant. You know, he might
okay.
not do than I do. I might have to compromise with him. You know,
I
so
like that. I like that. Most of the women that I've taken out on dates are like, all right, let's go here.
no, I'll compromise with him.
Love that.
Yeah.
But I personally am an Italian guy, so you can get me anywhere that has some pizza and pasta. I am down. Okay, but why don't we move on to the next question? That would be question 5. Do you prefer men around your age, older or younger, or and why?
I prefer an older man because I value like he has to be mature. He has to have wisdom. I'm drawn to things like that and his life experiences. They have more life experiences, I think, than a younger guy. Yeah.
Valid, valid, definitely valid. I'm one of the younger groups, so I'm over here like but whatever, it's all good. No feelings hurt here. Jeanette, why don't we hear from you?
So I've only dated younger men. To be honest, I haven't. But I have dated an older guy, and it was just so I can date an older guy, but you gotta have a little. It's got to be a little, energetic, spontaneous, fun. You know what I mean? Because even though I'm 45, which somebody may seem a little bit older, I like to have fun. Okay, so as long as he's energetic, love to travel, and we can go on a spontaneous trip, and you like to do stuff that may scare somebody, you know what I mean? Like, budget or something, you know what I mean? So as long as you're energetic and you fun, we can probably work that out. But in my experience, younger has been better than older. Sorry.
Hey, I'm over here, one to one now, 1-1, one for the youngers. But no, Jeanette, and I totally hear you. I think if you're looking for energy, because I'll tell you right now, I'm staring 40 in the face. I already got my lazy boy right here, so I'm preparing. But Natisha, what about you?
I prefer a man who is mature, stable, and secure in who he is. To me, I won't limit it to age because lifestyle and experience really will outweigh that. And I think it's more important about character, wisdom, and spiritual leadership. I think those qualities will help reveal if the individual is ready for a healthy relationship.
Love that. You broke up a little bit at the end, but I got you, Natisha. And I think honestly, and I agree with you. I think the more that we put limits on ourselves, the harder that it makes to find that person. To be honest, just to give you my perspective or my answer from the question. I mean, granted, I'm I don't prefer men my age or older or younger, but the women that I prefer, it's pretty funny and for me actually, because I think I'm actually at the point in age where I personally have almost always preferred older women. I've always looked at myself as been mature for my age, let's
Mm.
say. I've always looked at myself as being mature for my age. So I've always kind of aligned more with older women, not necessarily the women my own age. And that's dating back to when I started dating women. But I'm kind of at the age now where because I do want to get married. I do want to have children one day. I'm starting to look at younger women because I'm looking for a woman who's going to potentially be a partner and have children with me, one day. So it's almost like I'm shifting my gears, and turning. I'm like, oh, I wasn't looking over here before, but I guess I am now. So I almost feel like I'm switching gears, which is, a little bit of a change for me. Honestly, it's a little bit weird. I have younger sisters, so that's probably why it's strange for me. You know, but and that's probably why I've always gravitated towards older women because I have younger sisters. But yeah, that's basically my answer when it comes to that question. Um, does any of you guys have anything else you want to jump on with regard to that?
Yeah, I just want to say that I've
Mhm.
never really had a preference, but it's always someone younger who approaches me. So that's
Okay.
how I end up. Like most of my approaches is always younger men. So that's how
So
it happens most of the time.
you get a guy that's 55, but he's ready to go base jumping. You're all about it though.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's
Oh
cool.
man, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not me. I'm afraid of heights. So
Well,
sorry.
I mean, I'm afraid of heights, but I'll try it. I'll definitely
Oh
try it.
no, no, the base jumping. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'll
I'll
save
try
save
it.
save the base jumping for you. I'm down to do some fun things. I will say I got on a roller coaster not too long ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is not the same as when I was 13." Um, So, all right, I'm gonna just jump right into question six, ladies. We're moving right along here. I know we're still going a little bit over time. Um, question six: if you have children, how important is it that your children get along with the person God places in your life? And Natisha, we're gonna start with you. I know you said you don't have children, right?
Um, I do not have children, but I love children, and I think I'm a children's magnet. So um, I'm open to co-parenting. I'm open to adopting. I love children. So
I love that, and I'm right there with you, Natisha. I'm like like I feel like kids like me more than adults do. For the most part, I'm always like the best friend of all the little kids. I'm like the fun uncle, even though if my sisters ever tell me that they're pregnant, there's gonna be some smoke in the city. Um, but no, I'm right there with you. Definitely a child magnet. Definitely love kids. Definitely love kids. But Jeanette, how about you? I know that you said you have young ones.
No, I have four adult kids.
Oh, four adult kids. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
yeah. My oldest is 25 and my youngest is 19, 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my and I also have two grandbabies.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, two grandbabies. My oldest two have a kid. But so wait, what was the question? What was the question?
Is how important is it that your children get along with the person that God places in your life?
Oh, okay. Well, it is important because I definitely want my family to be able to treat, the person that I'm with as if he's their own. So it is very important to me. But I believe that there can be, something. I'm just thinking about that. I believe that there can be moments where there may be something that, somebody may not agree with that I'm just like not stepping down for. So it's not like completely, but I think it just depends. I think it just depends. But I definitely would love for the person that I'm with to, have a great relationship with my family and for, them to treat him like their own. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, and in my opinion, I think that that's one of those things. In my opinion, that's a non-negotiable. But I,
mhm.
I'm here to listen. I'm here to listen and mediate. Natalia, why don't we hear from you?
Um, Me and my daughter's 25 years old, and me and her are package deal. We've been be together. We're like this, and she will let me know if she don't like you. She'll tell you. So he has to be. She has to like him. She has to like him too, not just me. I want her to like him just like me, and we have a happy family like that. I don't want her not to like him, and I do, and it be confusion there. I don't want that for me and my daughter. I want her to love him like he loved her, like that kind of stuff.
Of course. And honestly, oh,
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead. No, I'm
me and
sorry. Go ahead.
Me and my daughter, we travel together. She's like my buddy. So for a guy to come in my life, it's going to be weird for her, you know? So,
Of course. And already, as from the man's perspective, you got to get in with your girl's friends. So if your daughter's your bestie, that whoever God puts in your life, he's got to be her bestie too. I already
yeah,
know. I
yes.
already know. I already know. And yes, I'm exactly the same way. I'm very close with both of my parents. Love my sisters dearly. I don't have any children, but I'm kind of comparing it like if whoever I'm with has got to pretty much love my parents, my sisters. They're an extension of me.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you, ladies, on that one. We align 100%. Um, Now, question 7. What makes you a woman of God?
Me, I'm
And we're going to start with you, Natalia. Yep.
I'm kind, I'm humble, I'm honest, I'm patient, I'm forgiving, and I have self-control, and I respect myself. And yep.
Love all of those answers. Love all of those answers. Jeanette, what about you? What qualities would you say that makes you a woman of God?
Um, I definitely, so not only would I expect the guy to treat others right, but I also have to be that type of person. So I definitely want to say that first and foremost. Um, but also, that I have that relationship with God, so um that I seek him in a lot of different situations in my life. But and that I don't only just, like I said, know him just because I go to church or just because my pastor told me that, but also that there is relationship. So I, read the Bible, and I'm not saying that you got to be done read the whole Bible before. Like, I'm not saying that. But reading the Bible and praying and the communication with God is how you get to know him. So I believe that without those things, it says with those things, it makes me a woman of God.
Love it. And Letitia, what about you?
I think it's not just in just what I say, but how I live my life and the fruit that I bear. And being in relationship with God has helped me to also better understand myself, in my constant growth, for seeking to be more like Jesus, and more like God in how I live my life and how I treat others. And so I think it's a lot of more of action speaks louder than words.
And I 100% agree with you. When it comes to my standpoint, I pretty much I live by everything that all of you ladies pretty much said. I think try to live righteously first, try not to dishonor my mother, my father, God,
Yes.
and live every day as positively as I possibly can, and bring as much light into the world as I possibly can every single day. I'm a huge Kobe fan, so I live by you get 1% better every day. Just a little bit better every single day. And at the end of the year, you're 365% better than you were at the start of the year.
Absolutely.
So, I try to live my life that way every single day. So yeah, but I 100% agree with all of the notions that all of you ladies had posed for sure. Now
Can
question
I say
8.
something for
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's really short. I just wanted to say the only reason that I spoke on which prayer and Bible and communication with God, of course, are very important to me. But the only reason why I mentioned them is because how can you be like someone that you don't even know? You know what I mean? So the only way that you're going to be able to be like Christ and to know who Christ is if you have some kind of communication with them. And those are the ways that you communicate with them. So that's how you develop those characteristics of him. So that's what makes you a woman of God or a woman of man. I mean, woman of God or yeah.
Man of God.
Man of God, yes, sorry.
No, 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 and I no trust. I pick up what you're putting down. I pick up what you're putting down, and I 100% agree. I think if that's how you're trying to live, you have to have that relationship, that communication with God, in order to understand God first, right, and then be able to live the right way. But yes, I totally 100% agree with you, Jeanette. Um, Now, moving all along, I have question 8, which is, what is your denomination or faith background, and how long have you been walking with God? And Natisha, we're going to start with you.
I am AME, African Methodist Episcopal Methodist, Protestant Christian, and I was been born in my faith, and there were 12 generations when I was home where we attended worship together. So it's all I know. I don't know anything different.
Understood. Love it. And Jeanette?
Yeah, so I'm a Christian. I was introduced to God at 9 years old. But I got to know him on my own, really. I think when I was like 17 or 18 years old. Um, but I've been wholeheartedly following him for I think it's almost 11 years now, I would like to say, like, following his walk. I've been following him
Nigger, nigger,
for
nigger,
almost
nigger, nigger, bitch,
11
nigger, bitch,
years
nigger,
now.
bitch, nigger, bitch, nigger.
Oh, okay. Don't know. We had a little bit of a sound issue there, technical difficulties, but we're back. Um, and Jeanette, I also love your answer, right? Because some people might not necessarily, like Natisha, you were born into your faith, have, but you've explored, you Jeanette, you've been able to explore that faith and explore that relationship with God and found it late. So I think that it's beautiful that we can have a relationship with God and it be introduced at two different times in our life, or we find it later in life as opposed to being born into it, and you still come to the same conclusions, many of the same conclusions. So I just want to say that that's beautiful. I just wanted to say that, Jeanette. So very happy for you. Um, Natalia, we're, we're going to jump to you. What is your denomination or faith background, and how long have you been walking with God?
I'm been a Christian since I was a kid. I've been a Christian for let me see. I've been a Christian for a long time. I've been baptized in April of 1997. I haven't been going to church in a while, but I do study the Bible. I always read the Bible when I can, so it's on a regular basis.
I'm sorry. My mom's texting me. She's like, "How was your panel?" I'm like, "Mom, leave me alone." Uh, uh, so love that. And again, a different answer than what the other two ladies have had. So I find the beauty in the differences, right? In that we all took different roads to basically come to the same destination, which I think there's beauty in. I'm similar to Natisha, where I've been born into my faith with God. I've been a Catholic for as long as I can remember. Attended Catholic school, was at church 4 or 5 times a week during the week during Catholic school. My grandmother was full blooded Puerto Rican. God rest her soul. So that's probably where the Catholicism comes from. But yes, I've been pretty much born into my faith and tried to live this way since very early on. So I will say that that is my answer. Uh, Quick question 9, and then ladies, we're getting to the end here. We're rocking and rolling. I'm sorry that I took so long to get here. I'm sorry that I probably jabberjawed on a little bit more than I probably should have. But question 9, what qualities are you hoping God is developing in you during this season of singleness? And I love this question because I basically asked this question earlier,
You
but
did.
I would but Natalia, why don't we start with you?
Like I said before, peace, healing, self-control, and rather me focus only on finding the right person, I have to be the right person of God for me, you know? That's the singleness for me.
Love, love. And Jeanette?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it one more time, please?
No, no worries. So what qualities are you hoping God is developing in you during this season of singleness?
Well, I can say what he is, you know, telling me more. So, the biggest things that he's been saying is be patient. And he has also been saying use your wisdom. Now,
Yes.
I believe that he's saying use your wisdom because at some point the training wheels has to be taken off. So as he has taught you, you know, all of the things that he have taught you, then at some point, sis, you got to use your wisdom. You know what I mean? So the Lord doesn't always come back every single time to tell you that it's not him. If we pay attention, we'll already know without even asking God whether it's him or not. You know? So that use your wisdom, and it's not specific to dating, but the Lord has been saying, use your wisdom in every single area of my life. So, yeah, along with patience.
Love that, Jeanette. I must be a glutton for punishment or a dummy because I tend to not like to use my wisdom when it comes to these scenarios. But Natisha, why don't we go ahead with you?
Um, Actually, I would say the fruits of the spirit. And the reason why I say that is I alluded to it earlier. I grew up in a family where my father wasn't present. He was there, but not. And so I saw how it affected my little brother, but also I did not realize until later in life how it affected me not having my father in my life. And when I look around as I'm traveling and I'm watching fathers with their children, I'm recognizing there are some very critical pieces that I missed in my life that would have helped me develop as a female, as a young woman, as an adult woman. And so I'm thankful that through counseling, through my relationship with God, through the right small circle of friends that we can be very honest and accountable with each other. God is just helping me continue to, I would say, prune and grow and become more understanding of that I'm not a product of my childhood. I could re-narrate that, and that it was my father's loss and not my loss because I blamed myself for many years of not being good enough, not being smart enough, not being beautiful, and being able to just turn my life around and understand I am enough. And I am enough in God. And if I continue to work on myself, that whoever that is, that God brings into my life, and is not even just in a marriage, but just in general, that they should hopefully be able to see that I'm an image or I'm a conduit of God in how I treat and care for them.
Love that. Love that. And I think that goes hand in hand with what I was saying at the beginning, where you're adding the work to the faith, right? You're adding the work to the faith. You're doing a lot of the work on the back end that makes you, a desirable candidate for the potential man of God that comes along. When in fact God brings that man into your life. So I love that. Um
Can I
okay.
say something really quickly? I'm
Yes, of
sorry.
course, Matt. You can say whatever you'd like.
Okay, so this is specific. This is for you.
Okay.
So I did go through a phase of my life because I've been undervalued, unfortunately, in a large area of my life. So I did go through a large, time in my life where I didn't use my wisdom, but that's because I didn't trust me, or maybe I felt like somebody spoke better than me. A lot of different. I'm not saying that that's your reason, but I'm just saying. So it wasn't until I heard the Holy Spirit say, um, What did he say? Oh, I value your opinion. That's what he said. He said, I value your opinion. And I'm just gonna say I haven't been the same since. I mean, I speak up and so that helped me tremendously. So I just wanted to say that just in case they help you or anybody, that God definitely values your opinion.
And thank you for that, Jeanette. Honestly, I think um, honestly we should probably all hear that a little bit more, because I know a lot of us probably ask God questions and then we're waiting on answers and waiting on answers, and they come, but they don't come on our timing, right? So I think a lot of us do need to hear that a little bit more often. It's almost like reassurance that God is definitely listening, when you're reaching out. um Man, I was going to say something else, but I lost my train of thought. But that was a lovely sentiment, Jeanette. I loved it. I was going to say something else, but no worries. Now we're on question 10. We're on the last question. Um, what advice would you give to men who want to pursue a woman of God? Now I'm all ears here. And we're going to start with Natisha. Why don't we hear from you first?
I would say just jump in and trust your instinct, but let God lead you. But express, be vulnerable, um, share what your intent is, and just have deep, open conversations with the individual that you're interested in, so that they know. Because often that is probably the biggest challenge is we don't know, and we're trying to figure out, is this person really interested in me, or they don't want to be friends? Just state what your intentions are and shoot your shot.
Right.
Love it. Okay, and Jeanette, why don't we hear from you? I'm a basketball player, so I love the reference.
Okay, so I was just in a situation where I had to study Proverbs 31. Okay. And so when you mention Proverbs 31, everybody goes straight to the woman. Well, that's not what Proverbs 31 is all about. At the beginning of Proverbs, there was his mom speaking to him, and that's what the whole Proverbs is about. So what I noticed is, so if I could just think about what it's like he's like, Mom, like, how should I date? Okay. She started off with telling him who he needs to become in order for him to meet her. And then she told him what his wife needs to be like. So I'm just saying, and we can turn that around, women versus men. Like, woman, make sure that who you're supposed to be who you're supposed to be for him. And man, you make sure that, you're who you're supposed to be for her. You know what I mean? So that's definitely my response. And just in case you don't know what that is, ask God, because having a self-awareness check is very, very, very important. Because I had a lot of things about me that I had absolutely no idea about, you know, and in trying to find out, well, what is wrong? Like, am I like, why am I responding to things like this? Like, why am I? And so I began to question God and ask him, well, what's wrong with me? And I found out that some of those things was the root of things that occurred when I was a child. You know what I mean? So it's not always, who you are today, but definitely some of those things are just because of maybe something happened to you with you as a child, maybe different experiences that you had when you was in a relationship. So yes, just to shorten the answer up a little bit, you got to become who I believe that woman or man, you should become who you are supposed to be in order for you to get him or her. And if you don't know, ask God. He would definitely tell you. He would tell you in whatever way he speaks, to you, of course.
Love it. And honestly, and again, I think goes back to you have to do the work first, right? Work with faith, and then the rewards will come. So yeah, I again, I totally, totally, totally agree with that sentiment. Do the work first. Come healed into your relationship. and the positives will flow. It'll be overflowing. Your cup will overflow, right? So I 100% agree with that, Jeanette. Natalia, why don't we hear from you? What advice would you give to a man who's willing to or is looking to pursue a woman of God?
I would encourage him to focus on becoming a kind of man whose life reflects his faith, not just someone who says the right thing. And he needs to put God first and develop character and be patient and be emotional. Like,
And can I ask you something?
yes.
Just oh, okay. Sorry. So just as a quick question, and this is a quick sidebar question. With regard to, because you had mentioned that they have to have the character and they have to and Natisha, you had mentioned, right? Since you had mentioned earlier, we're all grown. I'm late 30s to 59, right? Wouldn't Shouldn't the man of God that you're looking for, the woman of God that I'm looking for, shouldn't they mostly have all of those characteristics? Or because in my opinion, when I look at a man or a woman, I would hope that you're able to control your emotions I'm 38, so I would hope that you're able to control your emotions at 38. I would hope that you're kind and, those things at 38, because even if I missed that class in kindergarten, at somewhere between kindergarten and now, I feel like I would have, you know what I mean? I I I agree with you wholeheartedly, Natalia. I just sometimes that's also why I ask the question, where do we draw the line in the sand? Because sometimes I feel like we either set the bar too high or we set the bar too low. And just saying, hey, I need them to be kind, I need them to be forthright. Um, that to me is like bare minimum. Bare minimum, the lowest bar that you can have is like you need to be those things at bare minimum. The higher bar is some of the things that I feel like we want, maybe physically or externally. When we set the bar, oh, I need someone that's 6 foot. Oh, if I were to turn around and say I need a woman that's 25 or younger, I'm setting the bar to a place, an expectation that's right, exactly, an expectation that I can't reach. I almost look at when we're saying, oh, we just need them to be kind. I look at that, Natalia, you're setting your bar too low. Raise that bar, sweetheart. Raise that bar a little bit higher, because you deserve someone that's kind. That goes without saying. You know what
Yes.
I mean? That goes without saying. You deserve more than that. But that's my spiel. I'm sticking to it. Okay. Um, Now, with that being said, I think we've come to the final question. I know that we're just over time, and I know that we were supposed to close at about 8:15, but I wanted to make sure that I leave it open at the end for any questions that you all ladies may have had, anything that we discussed that you want to kind of jump into a little bit further of a discussion, and also open it up for questions for the rest of the panel kind of viewing and watching. Okay,
Ray,
Mike.
there's a
Michael has
question.
a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I didn't even. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss K. I didn't even see that. If you like a guy, how likely are you to let him know, even if suddenly that you're willing to go out with him? AKA, will you make the first move?
I wouldn't make the first move. Maybe I should, but I wouldn't make the first move.
Let me ask, why wouldn't you make the first move?
Because I think a man should court a woman. I don't think it should be the other way around.
Okay. But is making the first move, like making the initial interaction, is that him courting you, or is that you just showing that you're interested in him?
It would just show that he's interested in me. How would I know?
Okay. But let me ask you, on the flip side, as a man, we almost never know if a woman is interested in us when we go up to you guys, right?
True. Yeah, that's true.
Let me just tell you from my perspective, nobody enjoys rejection. Women don't enjoy rejection just as much as men don't enjoy rejection. Men are subject to it quite a bit though, because we're always expected to make the first move. And I think a lot of women don't like making the first move because they don't like feeling that fear of rejection. I do think we would be more successful as men and women if we each started taking the opportunity. You see someone that you might be interested in, don't wait for him to send you a drink. Or don't wait for him to come talk to you. Maybe go and also shoot your shot and just say, hey, I just wanted to know, are you single? Are you dating anybody? Are you want and just striking up that conversation. I don't think that necessarily takes away the aspect of him potentially courting you, but I think it gives him the reassurance to say, "Oh, let me go chase after her," especially if you're someone that he is interested in dating or pursuing as well. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But that's just my perspective. Jeanette, what do you think about Michael's question? Are you willing to make the first move, the first interaction?
Well, I've made the first move a couple of times in my life. So I have made the first move before. But now I think I'm a little bit more I'm a little bit more patient. So because I feel like I tried that already. So let's try something else. So that's where I'm at. I'm being patient and I'm just, waiting, you know. So no, I don't make the first move at all. Now, I believe that if we were constantly seeing each other and we were having conversations while we were seeing each other, or this is just a scenario, then yeah, I probably would say something. I probably would.
So you mean like if you were friendly with someone or saw someone regularly, but you're not dating, right? And then you might make the first move?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you would have to feel like comfortable with that person first, not like, you just see a stranger or see someone that maybe you know from your past and might make a first move on an inkling. You might have to feel more comfortable with that person. Am I judging
I
correctly?
don't think it really has anything to do with being comfortable because I'm not shy in the area at all.
Okay.
It's just that I've done that already, and to me, it just didn't work. So I'm just like, all right, let's see what the other way work. You know what I mean? So that's the only reason why, to be honest, just to
No.
try something different to see if it'll work.
Honestly, sometimes you need to throw something at the board and see what sticks. I get it. I hear you.
Maybe I'll try.
Yeah.
Try. You got to try everything. See what is going to work for you. I think not every shoe is a one size fit all, right? So, Natisha, why don't we hear from you? What do you think about making the first move?
I'm not uncomfortable with making the first move. I think I flirt a lot um, to try to see if there is some interest. So I'm not uncomfortable with either.
Love that. And
When
honestly,
I say flirt, like you don't know if somebody's really paying attention to you or not. So,
that's
so
true.
smiling, making eye contact, nodding.
Natisha, I think that goes a long way, believe me, because I have also sat across from those tables where you're talking and they're like, uh-huh, like and it looks like they're paying attention, but they're not, and you can totally tell. So I've been there also. So yes, I agree with you. Doing all of those things makes and when you say flirting, it's like basic flirting. It's like simple flirting just to kind of let you know the interest is there, which I think I always used to say when I in my in my youth when I used to go out to like nightclubs and stuff like that. I used to say I will approach any girl. The first woman that I'm approaching is the one that locks eyes with me and looks at me up and down, and I can tell from the immediate initial reaction
That she likes you.
that she likes me. Right. She's the first one I'm going to talk to. not the girl that didn't pay me any mind and, you know, acted very aloof in me approaching her, right? Um, okay. Oh, Michael has a few questions.
Okay.
Uh, Question number two, perfect date. Everything is going well. You're super attracted to him. How open are you to allowing this to get physical in the first week? All right, Michael, we're going to skip that question for now, okay? Because I think we're, again, all pretty grown in this panel right now. Yeah, I don't know if we're even gonna jump to that question. But I think he had one other question. Oh, he said, "Oh, it's a very important question." All right, Michael, we'll answer the question for you. Everything is going well. You're super attracted to him. How open are you to allowing the things to get physical in the first week? And the first week is crazy, Michael. But go ahead, Natisha. Why don't we start with you? Well, you're on mute,
Since
Natisha.
Michael
There you go.
typed out the question, okay, since Michael typed out the question and he said get physical, so I'm assuming he's meaning, I don't want to assume we talked about not being, well, he's not even in the meeting anymore, so I don't know that it's even relevant at this point.
No, and listen, I hear you. Honestly, we can kind of skip the question. I can give you guys my take on it if you'd like, if it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable personally. And if he's talking about um sexual relations, in my opinion, anything like that, we do anything like that in the first week is a no-no.
No.
First week is 100% a no-no. If we're talking about like a kiss or something like that, in my
No.
opinion, I still would prefer to keep all bodily fluids to ourselves within the first week. That's including saliva. So, in my opinion, first week,
No.
no. I'm not. I wouldn't be that open. And if the person that I was attracted to showed me that they were open to getting physical, in my opinion, I'm a little bit less interested. At
Yes.
least, at least a little bit less interested in the long term. I'm definitely less interested in the long term and
Mhm.
seeing where this relationship goes. Because in my opinion, I'm looking at it like, if you would do that with me after a week of
Yeah,
knowing me,
exactly.
right? You might do that with anybody else after a week of knowing them, and that's not what I want for my partner, right?
Yes.
So
So
I
Ray, I noticed that Michael is back
he
in
did
the
jump in.
chat. Yeah, so he jumped, he's back in. So I'm glad that he was able to jump back in. I think I mentioned this earlier, setting clear expectations. And so starting out and setting boundaries and setting what the intentions are, if that's done at the very beginning, then there should be no surprises. No one should be upset. And as adults, we're all adulting and being mature adults in how we want to handle ourselves and expectations.
Agreed. Agreed. And I agree with you as well, Natisha. I think that those boundaries, those expectations should be set pretty much from the jump. I think it's an awkward conversation to have on a first date or even a second date,
Yes.
but I think that conversation should be had pretty early on so that you set those expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So I 100%.
Ray, I think it's only awkward. I think it's only awkward if we are not comfortable with the answer or not comfortable with the boundaries that are being set. And then at the end of the day, that should wasting each other's time.
Agreed. Agreed.
So yeah.
And yes, I agree. For the most part, as adults, it shouldn't feel awkward. I just think, like, from the man's perspective, I almost feel like we it's almost on us to even start that conversation. Um, I don't expect like a woman to start that conversation with me, but then as a man, it's like, when do I have that conversation? Do I set that expectation with you? Like I said, the first date, the second date, And that, so it's not about it being awkward about asking or having the conversation. It's more about the timing of it all and how comfortable we are with each other, engaging that and being able to, because I could ask you too early, and that immediately, just me asking a woman, turn her off to the idea of ever. You see what right,
Yeah.
Natalia? See,
Yes.
Natalia's like, yep. Because if I ask that on the first date, if I ask you what your name is, and then the next question say, so how long until we get physical?
There won't be a second
There
date.
won't be a second date. Exactly. So I
Right.
almost, when I say awkward, I don't mean awkward in regard to having the conversation. I almost just mean engaging.
So
When
having her.
is the best time to have that conversation?
Well, Ray, let's connect and let me help coach you on, because I hope that's not how you would ask it. So we can coach you on
No,
that.
no, that's not that. Trust me when I tell you that's not how I would ask the question. I know how to speak very properly. I just personally think that, I mean, I don't think that's at all how I wouldn't ask that question necessarily in the first place. Um, I think we can set the expectations of maybe, kissing and those type of expectations, but I'm not necessarily asking about when is it that we're taking it beyond that. I'm just kind of letting it happen spontaneously from that point on, and
That's
then making our decisions from that, you know.
Well,
So
I mean, as for me, I mean, so I was thinking about his question, and the response I would have given is, I would hug you on the first. I mean, I would hug you like after the date, but it can't be passionate. It's got to be a have a good day hug. You know what I mean? It has to be a have a good day hug. That's it.
yeah.
The end. That's it. The end. Also, I wanted to say, you said that you feel like as a man that you would have to be the one who, talks about that. Well, I may be a little bit bolder than most. So I have been the one to ask that. And, it's after I realized that we both, really, really, are going somewhere or like each other or whatever. So, and that doesn't necessarily to me have a date on it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying week one, but I do know people that have been married, that was in a relationship for 5 months, got married, and still together. You know what I mean? So I'm not like one of those. Oh, well, we got to be for 2, 3, 4 years before, like, you know what I mean? I don't really believe there's a date. But in the same breath, I'm still the person who used my wisdom and still ask God. But I still don't believe that there has to be a specific date. But that's the hug, not the sexual relationship. Like, no, I totally believe in abstinence. So I wouldn't even date anyone who's still who's not abstinent. Like I wouldn't even, if they said that they weren't, I wouldn't even date them, because we have to be together on that. Because at that point, you're wanting to do something that I know is not going to happen with me. You know what I mean? So, but though it's basically still like setting boundaries, like she said.
But I think that's what Jeanette is just affirming. I'm going to say foot stomp is what we would say in the military, is setting clear expectations and letting someone know up front, this is my boundaries, negotiables, non-negotiables. And that person is going to choose, oftentimes they should be choosing if they want to engage or not. And then at that point, it's allowing us to be respectful of each other.
That's right. Yep.
agreed. Now, hold on. I think Michael had one other question. Michael, I don't even know who you're talking about. Get him. I don't know who you're talking about. Let's see. He had one other question. In your relationship, do you allow men to have the final say?
I wouldn't want my man to be the leader, but we could communicate on the say, on the, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael, you're rubbing dry sticks together, my friend.
I
I don't
don't
know what
think
you're.
it necessarily. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeanette. Go ahead.
I don't think it necessarily has to be the final say, but we both should be listeners. That's very important.
Mhm.
So I believe that if we both give each other a chance to speak throughout the entire situation, it won't even be a who get the last word. You know what I mean? It'll be some kind of agreement that we have if we just listen to each other. Whether we agree or not, listen to what the person has to say and then you respond. If we talk about and that's something that I've learned without patience. I talked to y'all about because it does require patience because if somebody is saying something off the wall, you don't want to hear it. But what if what you're saying is off the wall for them? So I do take those things into consideration. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I believe that if we both listen to each other and then respond and be in that kind of communication, then it'll work out better with it won't even be whoever get the last word. I believe if we both listen to each other and
Yeah.
communicate well.
Okay. So, okay. And I want to listen to all of your responses before I give my perspective. But go ahead, Natisha.
You know, I'm looking at the questions that Michael asked, and I don't know that I truly understand what he's really asking in question three. And I don't want to assume is when he's saying have the final say based on the buildup of questions that were asked. So I'm going to go ahead and just defer at this time because I want to be able to have clarity to make sure I'm answering what he's really asking.
So it looks like he did elaborate a little bit. It says he said men win men when they will allow his wife, I guess he meant a will allow his wife to make 8 out of 10 decisions. Good men just want to make you happy, but when he says no, it's important. Like he put his foot down and say no, and I guess that's what he's saying. Can this the man that is put into your life put his foot down on a decision and say no, and I guess it not be uh what
Argument.
my what go any further than that, Michael? An argument? I don't know what you're trying to say after that, but I assume that's what Michael means is that we can have a disagreement. When we have a disagreement, you believe one side, I believe the other. Where is that common ground? Where do we find the common ground when when that man says my final say is no? Do we just go with that, or is that something that are you just going with? Because Natalia, like you said, if you want a man to lead, in my opinion, he's not going to be able to do that if when he does say no, we can't do this, or no, or disagrees with you, if you fight with him on it. So in my opinion, and I do think from my standpoint that is a problem in a lot of relationships now, where I might say no for one particular reason. I might say, "Hey, no, let's not go out to dinner tonight because I get paid on Thursday and I don't want to spend frivolous money right now."
That's
Right?
compromising.
Well, true. That's compromising, and I think that there's middle ground that needs to be found there. But I think that there's also arguments that probably happen in everybody's relationships where one person or the other, man or woman, might say no for a very logical. Let me give you a quick example. Let me give you a quick example. There was a woman I was. All right. Well, he's saying women think emotionally while men think logically. It happens the majority of the time. Um, let me give you a quick example. A woman I dated maybe a few years ago, was dating a few years ago. We got into an argument because she had said to me, or her plan, she lived maybe 45 minutes north of me. She was going to drive down to come see me, spend time with me. Then she had dinner plans to go spend with her father, drive back up about an hour north. And then she said she's going to come back down to my place to spend the evening with me. And I know that she has a job and everything. She's financially responsible, but gas is expensive. Like, and I know that money is tight for her. I don't necessarily want her spending money that she doesn't necessarily have to.
Hmm.
I had just suggested, oh well, babe, you don't have to come see me this afternoon. Just go to dinner with your father and then come spend the evening with me this evening. Stay the night then, whatever the case is. She legitimately got upset with me because she thought I just did not want to see her in the first half of the day. And I'm just realistically thinking about her and wanting to make sure that she's taken care of and good, and that her gas tank is full, and that she's not struggling to get to work during the week. All
Mhm.
of those things come to my mind.
Yes.
So in that respect, I was thinking what I would say is logically, and she was moving, uh
Tip.
she was thinking more like, I want to see you, more of an emotion,
Mhm.
I think. And in that respect, I basically, and like Michael said, I was like, okay, you know what? You do what you want to do, because if not coming to see me is going to get you upset, then come to see me, please, by all means. You know, I'm happy to do whatever makes you happy. I think that's what Michael was alluding to. Good men will do those things, but when that man says, "No, we can't do this," do you let him have the final say, or do you argue with him about it? Especially when it's coming from a logical place.
Well, I
I think
think in
that's what
that
Michael said.
sorry, I think in that situation, I would have already um planned it out, so I wouldn't do something that I know that I can't do, or that'll have me struggling in the area throughout the week or whatever. So, um, oh gosh, my phone. So yeah, so I would have, I mean, I could see. I'm just thinking about that, and I know when you really like somebody and you're really into them, like you really want to see them. You know what I mean? So it's I probably would have. Of course, we would have had a conversation about it, and maybe I would have ended up with, because the problem is, I think in most relationships is that nobody is willing to compromise, and so that's why it never works. So there are some things that he's not gonna like, that you still like. I mean, I'm not like wholeheartedly a sports person. You know what I mean? But I'll go to the game before I watch a game. You know what I mean? But if I was dating somebody who wanted to watch the game every time he came, we're watching the game. I'm all in. You know what I mean? Because I do believe that you should compromise. And that was just the example. But even if it was something like he wanted to go camping and I didn't, you know what I mean? Or whatever that thing is, I still would be like, okay, now I'm a little scared, but if this is what you want to do, let's try it. You know what I mean? So I believe that most relationships just don't work because nobody is willing to compromise.
Yes.
I 100% agree to that, Jeanette. And I think relationships are built off of compromise. Um, you know, you're not going to find your doppelganger. You're not going to find someone who's exactly like you and likes every single little thing that you like. So you have to find the little things that you're willing to compromise and do with that person to make it all worthwhile. I totally agree with that. Natisha, let's get back to you. I know that you were um, you had an answer when we were kind of elaborating on Michael's question.
Well, Ray, I think there's a lot more to this than what meets the eye. But what I see is he's type. If the man doesn't feel like he's the king of the castle, the relationship would not last. I think if it were me, if it came down to me saying not agreeing with the question, there's something else there's so much more there. But that would not be the situation where I think it's about a man feeling like he's the king of the castle. There are other ways, through support, encouragement, understanding his five love languages, understanding mine. How do you support? How do you encourage? How do you uh, help that person be successful? So I think it's a lot more than some of the things that I'm reading in here about. Uh, there's an issue if he says no. One, if he says no and then the female is not agreeing to it. uh, I would hope, I can't speak about anybody else, but let me talk about me and where I am in my life. as Natalia and Jeanette was saying, I would be having conversations. There would be dialogue. That would not be a situation that's coming up that's a surprise, because we would have been in dialogue and conversation about it from the very beginning. And
Right.
anytime somebody is looking out for my safety and my well-being, I am never going to be offended by that. So I think that also goes back to maturity
Mm-hmm.
and the adulting piece. And so I think there's so much more here in this question than when a man says, if he's not felt to feel like he's the king of the castle, my man is going to feel like he's the king of the castle. But I think when women feel safe, then they're vulnerable to be very transparent and allow themselves to trust that man. And that man has demonstrated that he's reliable, trustworthy, and it doesn't even have to get down to how many times have you said yes or no. It's about the actions speak louder than words. My grandmother always says, if someone walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. When a person shows you who they are, you have to believe them. And for me, if this man shows me that he cares and he's looking out for the best interests of our household, I'm not fighting about that. But I would hope too, if I am the one that has the degree in accounting and my job requires me to manage billions of dollars, it's not an argument about, well, because I'm the man, I should make a decision. We should be relying on each other's strengths, gifts, and their skills to move forward. It is a compromise, but it's a compromise, I believe, in maybe not the most traditional way that most people think a relationship be.
And I 100% agree with you, Natisha. I think that there's a lot more to unpack when when it is that a man feels like the king in his castle. There's a lot more to that than just disagreements. In my opinion, I know every relationship there are going to be disagreements. Um, but in my opinion, that doesn't that's you're 100% right. That's not what makes you the king in the castle. How could that be the thing that tears you down from being the king in the castle? In my opinion, the thing that makes a man not feel like he's the king in his own castle is the lack of all of those things that you had mentioned. The lack of feeling like you're supported, the lack of feeling like you're appreciated, the lack of feeling like, you know, and then compounded with feeling like if I give you my real honest opinion, there's going to be backlash or consequences to that. That's where I think that's where I think Michael is drawing that question from, is from that one aspect of um, that man is not necessarily getting uh, the
Respect.
the respect that I don't even want to say respect, because you can respect someone and disagree with them, right? I think it's also about the fact that it's because it's a lot of men in that situation. A lot of them feel like they don't even want to tell you women the truth because they know it's going to end in an argument. So they would almost rather not tell the truth to avoid an argument. And that's where I think Michael is getting that, deriving that question from, because the men that feel that way definitely don't feel like the king in their own castle. They feel like they're a prison to, you know, their own, like, I'm a prison to my own thoughts. I can't even tell you what I honestly think without there being some type of negative consequence. So I'm just going to shut up and not say it. Um, so that's where I
Yeah,
think.
but that and Ray, but that doesn't happen over Ray. That doesn't happen overnight, and I think again, that's a buildup of other situations and other issues that need to be addressed. Whether that's couples counseling, individual counseling, whatever that looks like. But I see where he says this is the issue. Women want to be the queen and the king. And so, again, it seems like it's a topic different than what we've been talking about and how what we've shared and how we want to be in relationship one with another of someone that we believe is the person that God has in our lives.
No, and right, and I understand. I think that's I think where Michael's deriving that question from is just that small aspect, and I agree with you that a lot of that should be addressed in things like couples counseling and things that you would do together as a couple. Um, but I do see that that is an issue for a lot of men who are single and looking for women in relationships. That it feels as though many of them feel like they can't necessarily say what they want to say, or or do the things that they want to do because they know how it might be perceived, or how that reaction might cost them later. Um, so I do understand where Michael is coming from, but Michael, I do think that that's a small sample size from what makes you the king in the castle. That's where I think the question, where what you should be asked: what makes you a king in your own castle? Um, get their way 9 out of 10 times. Well, Michael, you're a hard brother to please. You're a hard brother to please. Um,
Um, I wanted to say that this, part of the panel is like, it sounds like there's a trust issue. It sounds like there's a trust issue. That's why I believe in having as many conversations as you would like. Ask as many questions as you would like, because that's how we get to know each other. And I believe that if we have more conversation, now I know that dating is important, and that's where you can have conversations there. But even if you're conversating over the phone or whatever, however you're communicating, those conversations and those times where you're opening up, asking all as many questions as you want, if you get the opportunity to be free, then I believe that's where the trust will come in, because you'll know them and you'll know what's not okay with them, and you'll know, you know what I mean? So I
No,
do believe that conversations will, just help all of that. It would, because that sounds like it's a trust issue. He's not free to say whatever. He doesn't feel comfortable saying things around her. He doesn't know if she's gonna explode. She doesn't know if she, so it's a trust issue. So those conversations, I believe, will help. If you're free to ask whatever you want to ask also, but even in that, you have to, have accountability, and you have to know that there is a problem, and you have to know that this is you and it's the person going to be okay with it. And that's not to say that it's something, negative or whatever. That could just be, like I have a cousin, great example. I have a cousin, he only watches SPN. I mean, he doesn't watch anything else. It's like he watches ESPN all day, okay? But that's fine. You know what I mean? That's okay. And that may seem very small to somebody, but that may be very big to somebody else. So that's something that I believe needs to be mentioned. You know what I mean? Which is really shouldn't really be a problem. You can just watch somebody maybe can watch it in the, next room, watch whatever they want to watch in the next room, or he can just, compromise a little. It just depends on what they agree on. But, you know, yes, I think it's a trust issue.
and I don't disagree with you, Jeanette. I don't disagree with you at all. I think that that does stem from a lot of trust. I think when you find the right partner and you develop that trust, I think a lot of these issues that Michael's kind of talking about, a lot of them seem to dissipate when you have a real relationship and real trust with that special person. I think. I mean, I can only say that I've had that maybe once in my life, and it did feel different than most of the other relationships that I've had, where we had that trust, and the issues that Michael's talking about were slim to none. As in comparison to many of the other relationships I've had. So, not to discredit what you're saying, Michael, I do think that there's real pain in what it is that you're saying. Um, I mean, making decisions with men and women are super different. We don't want to do 80% of the things we allow. 80 to 90% of all you hear is he's making the decision. SMH. Okay. Well, um, yeah. I think that is when you find the right person, those issues are a little bit more slim to none. But I do understand with what he's saying, because I think what he's honestly going back to more like gender roles, which I don't even necessarily want to get into that entirely right now. But I think he's talking more about like more of gender roles, where um like as a man, he's almost expecting that at some point in time he's going to have to say no, and as his woman or potential partner, you have to know that when that moment comes that you're just going to go with his no or his yes, I guess, if it's a yes. But and again, with what he's saying, I understand, because in some aspects, the and I know this is something that I think a lot of women can attest to, is the double standard, right? There's a double stand. A lot of women understand the double stand, and I know there's double standards for y'all all over the place. Believe me. But I think Michael's basically speaking to the double standard of there are men's gender roles, there are men's gender roles, and those gender roles pretty much don't change for anything. If a robber comes into the house and we're both in bed, I'm going downstairs and dealing with it, you know. And if a man who's laying next to you said, curled up in the covers and said, "Hun, I'm not doing this. You go downstairs and deal with them." You would come back upstairs after, realizing it was just the dog. You would come back upstairs and look at him way differently. You would look at him way differently than, you know what I mean? You would be like, why am I even in bed with you? We're glad you're married too, Michael. Good night. Uh, but why am I even uh why am I even with you if I can't trust that you would handle the things that I know 90% of other men would handle? And I think that's where what Michael is almost alluding to, is because he's assuming there's going to be a woman that is going to say, when he says no, she's going to be okay with him saying no. There is going to be that woman. So when he sees a woman that is not okay with that, that's an immediate red flag, and he's willing to, it's just because he's willing to go find that woman and that's where I think he's basically where he's deriving that question from, is that the gender roles for men and women with regard to men, they don't change. And when it with regard and I don't necessarily agree that always agreeing with your man is a gender role for women. I don't necessarily agree that you should always agree with your man. Men are stupid, women are stupid, in my opinion. There's stupid men and there's stupid women. You can't always agree with them all. So, with that being said, I don't think that you should always agree with your man. But yes, like Jeanette said earlier, I think compromise, listening to your partner, listening to your wife or husband and what their desires are, and then making sure that they're heard is the biggest part of it, right? Making sure that you understand what it is that they're asking of you. And if it's something that you can't do, then don't do it. But if it's something that's within reason and this is someone that's important to you, I look at it, you do it, right? If it's something within reason and there's someone that's important to you, then you do what you need to do to. And again, I'm sorry, I'm jabberjawing on here, but you ladies let me know what it is that you think about Michael and him being married, I guess, now that we're discussing that. Or if you don't have anything, that's totally fine too, because trust me, Michael is killing me. He's like, yous are way off. I mean, making decisions. I know this is a woman panel. I say you get 90% to make decisions and say one decision, and we get all this pushback. Crazy. Am I speaking Spanish? All right, well. So he's saying you get to make 90% of the decisions, and then when he says no, finally, you have to agree to that no.
I want to
Um,
agree.
I haven't. I in the dating that I have done. Um, and this not is I don't want this to be stereotyping anyone or anything. So I hope it's not. But I just wanted to say that I haven't really experienced that, only if it's like cultural. Like, so like how there are cultures that are traditional about so many things, that they strictly go by that and they don't let anything fall by the wayside. They don't compromise certain things. Like that's kind of what it sounds like from the experiences I've had. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that there are no people, in the US or like that. But from my dating, it has been like that when it's, someone that may have made is not from the US, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like they are do I want to say traditional? But yes, like, so whatever it is that they have always done, then they go by that, and they are not willing to go against that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, period. And it's not strictly to Africans or anybody, just whoever, but it's always that the culture thing from my experience, they're not willing to compromise most things. But I mean, and he's saying 90%, he'll let her do. But my question, if we had longer time to spend with Michael, is what are some of those 90% things? Like, are they like tedious, or are they like real things that, you know what I mean? Like, are they like real things that, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hopefully. Sorry.
So if you're asking if are the 90% of decisions that Michael is allowing his wife to make and wait and make those decisions, are those tedious like things that he's because
Yeah.
I'm assuming if you're making 90% of the decisions, we may live where you want to live, we may own the cars that you want to own, our kids may go to the school that you want them to go to, and then he might have one like no, your mother cannot live with us, she cannot
Mm.
move into this house, I do
I
not
got
want
you.
my mother.
Well, if we're talking about that, then okay, yeah,
See,
that's
because
really good.
and
I
that's
mean, that's what I was hoping anyway, but I would have
right.
probably still asked. Yeah.
That's what I assume that he's saying, that
Hmm.
he's saying that you're making 90%, 80 to 90%
Hmm.
of the decisions
Hmm.
already, but this one thing that I have that I'm putting my absolute foot down, are you fighting me on that, or
I
are
would come.
you
I
or
would.
are you or because
Oh, that is
or
what he's saying. He's there.
or because I give you the 80 to 90% of everything else, are you happy
Hmm.
with that and saying, you know what, I'm happy to let you have your way this one time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. So Michael, I think we got your answer. Did we get your answer? I think we finally got your answer, man. Natisha. Oh
You know
Lord.
what? I do want to comment. I feel bad that it sounds like you finally you got to where he was saying exactly, but the fact that he's having to do 80 to 90% of the things that he doesn't want to do to begin with, I don't want to be in a relationship like that to begin with. I would rather we're in a relationship where there's peace, and there's more mutual understanding to where my husband, my man is not just going along to get along, and he's not truly happy at all.
Natisha, I 100% agree with that, but I will say we've all heard the sentiment happy wife, happy life, right? We've all heard that before.
Yeah.
We heard it.
Yes.
Because if we've all heard that, that's been some a saying that's been going around for years, decades. We could say,
Thousands.
right? Um, I don't know if that's true, Mrs. K. Men don't care about happiness. I think men,
I
No.
would say happy spouse, happy spouse.
right? Well, yes,
Yes.
happy spouse, happy house, whatever,
Yes.
however you want to put it. I
Hmm.
think that is the way that it is. That's the way that it should be, rather. But I think a lot of men, and I don't necessarily think that 80 to 90% of the things that men say, hey, we're letting women make that decision. I don't think it's 80 to 90% of those things we don't want to do. I don't know if it's necessarily that high. And if it is, I agree with you, Natisha. That's probably just a relationship you don't want to be in. Um, but I do think that there's, as far as at least in recent history, there might be a swing now to more of the happy spouse, happy house. But I think in history with regard to dating, in the last 20, 30 years, it's mainly been happy happy wife, happy life, right? That's been the notion. So men have pretty much known, it's been a saying for men to forego their own happiness to make their wife happy.
Yeah.
So if that's a saying that we've all been saying, we've all heard, we've all been in circles and used in different situations, I almost feel like we can't discount what he's saying if that's an actual saying of the last 20 or 30 years. We can't discount that there are men out there who are in relationships where, they're trying to do everything they can to make their woman happy, but that's in turn not making them happy. And they're just closed mouth doing it, going through it. And then when they have that issue of saying, okay, this is the one thing I will not budge on, I'm putting my foot down, there's immediate consequences and negativity and pushback against that. So I do hear what Michael is saying. I just think, if I agree with Natisha, if 80 to 90% of what they do you don't agree with, you shouldn't be with that person anyway. You know, that's my take on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it's okay if, you know 20%, 30% you're doing things and I'm like, I don't know if I would, that's not a decision I would necessarily make. And maybe we have that discussion. But I think if it's 80 to 90% and I'm just going along with it, that's not a life that I know I could live for the next 40 years of my, you know what I mean, of my foreseeable future. So I wouldn't necessarily want to do that. Again, I do think there needs to be compromise that needs to be made. In order for there to be compromise, there has to be some headbutting a little bit. We don't make peace with our friends, right? We don't make peace with our friends. We make peace with the people that we're at war with during times of war. So I almost feel like there's gonna be some headbutting. It's just how much are you willing to allow and compromise and work with.
Right.
But ladies, I think we have come to the close of our discussion, unless any more of our attendees have any other questions. Um, this guy Michael saying I'm finally on the guy's side. Michael, I'm unbiased here. I'm the host. I'm unbiased, my friend. I am a man, yes, and I understand, but I got to be unbiased, man. I got to be unbiased. That's what I'm doing out here. And like I said, I'm living righteously and positively every day. That's it. 1% better every day. I thank you, ladies, for the discussion.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yes, I thank you, ladies, for your time and the input. This is very valuable for me, and I hope we all find who God has in store for each of us. I pray that we all do find love and find everything that it is that we want and deserve in this life, because you all seem like wonderful ladies and I know that you all deserve it. So thank
Thank,
you so much.
Thank you.
thank you.
No problem. I appreciate it. Take
Take
care and have a good evening, okay?
you too. Bye
Okay,
bye.
you too.
Bye
Bye.
now, guys.